Carl here from Brains and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for short. Got an interesting horror review to talk you through. This one directed by Nick Leon, written by Jacob Cooney and Jason White, and starring Keisha Sharp, Jamie Bamber, Annalyn McCord, Derek Yates, and Lydia Hurst. Titanic Rises, yep. It also goes under another name though, probably better known as Titanic 666. Two titles that, if I'm honest, would probably send a shiver down most horror spines. I saw the cover for it and thought, I've got to check this out. It's so bad from that cover and the title that it's something of a surprise to see that Titanic Rises is not actually a terrible movie by any stretch. It's got a solid story, some decent acting, some passable effects, and of course ghostly shenanigans. All things you wouldn't necessarily expect from a movie that was called Titanic 666 and is now called Titanic Rises. It weirdly opens with the sinking of the original Titanic, which borrows visually heavily from James Cameron's 1997 epic. Titanic Rises immediately makes it clear with its opening that the tone of this film is going to be quite serious, which is a bit of a surprise on my end. Cut to now, and Titanic 3 is about to set sail. Its maiden voyage will take it along the same route the original ship took, stopping briefly at the site of the sinking. Now let's stop here and clarify two things. The first, what happened to Titanic 2? Now, your guess is as good as mine. It's never referenced in the movie, and a cursory search engine result brings up a 2010 film called Titanic 2, written and directed by Shane Van Dyke. The connection seems to be the production company The Asylum. That's a cursory glance. That's what I think it is. Whether it is or not, I have no clue really, because it's not mentioned in the movie. Why they make a thing about it being Titanic 3, I don't know. The other one is the hilarity of them following the same route of the original Titanic. They start in New York. So, not quite the same route then, is it? As of course, Titanic did not start in America. That was its destination. It's one of many small problems, small little things the film gets wrong, which is a real big issue, becomes a bigger issue when you consider how serious the tone is and how it does try to be respectful and take the original sinking quite seriously.
After the launch of the original, Titanic 3 will set sail in just a few hours on the same path as her namesake.
Oh my God, look at this ship!
How do you like?
Okay, it's gonna be the time of my life. Ah!
We have cosplayers, mediums, relatives, and as you know, priceless relics from the original Titanic disaster. Full throttle.
Full throttle.
To the best crew on the Atlantic. We are in open water.
Although the title, Titanic 3, doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, because it is, of course, a ship destined to suffer the same fate as the original Titanic. Sort of. I mean, if you've seen the cover for this, you know ghostly shenanigans. It's called, and if you certainly watched it on the Titanic 666, it kind of gives you a big clue. So with this hilariously small crew of this luxury liner led by Captain Rhodes set sail with a ship full of the rich and the famous. Most notable on this is Professor Cochrane, who has a collection of original items taken from the Titanic shipwreck and is hoping to make some money selling them to the people aboard the ship. It is a bit ghoulish, so much so that a woman turns out to be a descendant of the original captain of the Titanic, Edward Smith. She snuck aboard. Why? So she can perform some witchcraft that, once they arrive at the site of the original sinking, will call upon the spirits to claim what is theirs. The possibility of sinking might actually be preferable for the people on board to what is now about to be unleashed upon Titanic 3. Do my big movie trailer voice there. Now, as I already said, one of the most surprising things about Titanic Rises is how seriously it takes its content. At times to its benefit, but at others to its detriment. With the former, it's understandable considering the tragic event that inspired this movie, but the latter means they needed to get those details right, and this film really, really doesn't. The serious tone also means it's not a fun movie, something it could have made up for by being scary, but it really, really isn't. No. The ghosts look good. I kind of like the whole frosted look they've got going on. But they're simply the jump scare kind, and that gets really old extremely quickly. Kind of flashing up in front of the screen on your TV, like one of those horrible videos where, you know, watch the screen for 30 seconds and at the end someone would, like that thing. Solid cast of actors make it a more watchable experience, even if some of the characters are extremely hateable. The influences are easily the most hateable. But what's also kind of cool is that it was filmed within the Queen Mary, so looks authentically shippy. And it also ends in a pretty darkly satisfying, although a bit confusing too. It ends in a decent enough way. All of that kind of made me enjoy it more than I expected. Even though I didn't love it, or I didn't come away thinking, wow, this is going to be one I've got to tell people about. I expected this to be utter trash. And it wasn't. Oh, it has trashy moments. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And you often watching and picking it apart. There's so many things you could pick apart. Like, how did this descendant manage to sneak on with the security that's on board? She simply hid in a suitcase, and nobody went, man, this one's really, really heavy when they put it aboard. You've got the fact that to make up for obviously a small amount of actors, there's not the amount of crew this ship has, considering what it is laughably low. The same with the passengers as well. Cochrane, his idea of trying to sell his Titanic wares to the people on board doesn't make a lot of sense, because this stuff would be heavily sought after. He wouldn't need to be on board that ship trying to sell them to people. He could just sell them at an auction. He did really, really well. And elements like that is where you pick it apart, as well as, of course, the factual stuff surrounding the actual Titanic sinking and the events, such as, you know, the route they took. There's a shot in here of like a, what do you call it, a dinghy. Dinghy? No. You know, you'd throw, I can't remember what it's called. It's gone blank in my mind. A flotation device. You'd throw it out if someone was in the water and they would catch it and he'd float in it. Little ring, like a donut shape. Whatever that thing is called. One of them has London written on it. And I'm like, London? Pretty sure Titanic didn't sail from London. Things like that are just kind of like, oh, get it right, guys, get it right. But I don't think it's a terrible movie, which is, like I said, the really, really big surprise. Hey, check it out. Maybe you'll get a kick out of it if you see it on the Titanic 666, or as I did on the Titanic Rises. You know what to do? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page, or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhblofficial.com, as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?